Okay, guys. Week 9 recap, weekly vid. We're going right into it. Recap. We had me versus Peluso. Unfortunately, we took a loss over here. Let's take a look at the box score. We'll break it down. We had a good game from Drew Brees on my end. Antonio Brown, decent game. George Kittle, great game. That's about it, though. The rest of the team didn't really show up. If you look at Peluso's team, decent game from Aaron Rodgers, but Tevin Coleman, 32.6 points. That's really big for him. That's out of the ordinary for him, but it's still listen to carry him over to get the win, so he can't complain. And I pretty much averaged in the rest of his team, but it did carry him over the top and got him the win, so you can't complain over there from him. T. Hams, very impressive. I got to give it up. 177.5. That's the highest score we had this year. It's a dominant score. There's no hating on it. You can't. He's won 5 in a row, T. Hams. He's got Pat Mahomes killing the game every week. James White, another big guy. Kareem Hunt, 33.1 points. It's huge. Everybody in the team really had a day, especially Dolphins did with 24. So if you could keep this up, I could definitely see you going into the bye week and even maybe it's the championship if you could keep this pace up. Lou, not a bad game, 126. Tom Brady, really not that great of a game, 15.7. James Conner, though, again, 29.3 is really consistent, that guy. And but his receivers, I mean, he did not have Ty or Diggs in the lineup, so he only had Funches and Nunwell, which isn't the most ideal situation to plug in for your receivers. Nor is Traquan Smith, but 126 without any of your main receivers is actually pretty good. And Bears D 29 points is phenomenal. So he did take a loss, but again, nothing to worry about over there, I don't think. Tom versus Paulino. Oh my god, the ship, it's done. 0-9. We'll see how long this winless streak goes. I don't see it going that much farther. I do anticipate a win coming soon, but after this game of 65 points, not likely. Fitzpatrick high score, but he was a stream for Mike. It wasn't even somebody that's mainly on his team. The rest of his team was awful. He had -4 from Redskins D, Isaiah Crowell 7, the flex, Ed Dixon. Why was he played? Oh my god! I looked at that guy and I was like, Mike, what are you doing? He should have never been in the lineup. A fat goose egg from him. Sammy Watkins 11.4. A bad day all around. That's awful. That sucks, man. Tom, you really shouldn't be happy either. You did get the win, but 125. Your team looks good on paper, but it doesn't score as good as it should. I think you're still getting wins. You're still high in the rankings. You're 6-3, but your team isn't as well rounded as it should be. You got big points on Big Ben. Melvin Gordon had a decent game. Kenyon Drake, awful game. Julio had a huge game, and Greg Olsen had a huge game. Now, if your flex could round out, your defense could round out, and both your running backs show up, you could definitely be a dominant team. But as of right now, I see you mid-upper tier of this league, not really in the top 1, 2, or 3. Joe Velez, the upset. Wow. Eric really pulled it through. Nobody thought he would. He thought he was going with a loss since he didn't have his Bengals guys. So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey had a day for Joe. 32.7, but Tariq Cohen out of nowhere scores 2.3. Nobody saw this coming. He was really killing it over there in Chicago. This week didn't show up. Mike Evans, another game, didn't show up. So Joe's team just looked boom or bust this week. Like it could have been on track for 160, but it ended up at 116 because some of his guys just didn't put up their usual numbers, and that's not really cause for concern. But it's surprising, being that he could lose any week, really, because if he puts up this number, anybody could really beat him. Eric put up just enough to beat Joe Velez. Nothing great for him. He usually does score a little bit higher, so it is a bit of a low week for him, but he did get the win. Jared Goff, good game. DeAndre Hopkins, great game. And Deion Lewis, of course, Monday night, carrying him over the top with 22.2, so that's big for him. And Eric's won 4 in a row, so he's hot like T. Hams. Both of them really making pushes. Steve, huge game versus Matt Velez. I don't know. I don't like Steve's team. It's not consistent. I don't know why it's bouncing up and down like this. It's just one end to the other. He scores under 100, then he scores like 157. So I'm trying to see why. Maybe Mike Thomas scored 39.1. That's why, because that doesn't usually happen. It happened at the beginning of the season, not now. So you got Keenan Allen, big game. Travis Kelce, 28.9. Even Scantling, that was a big flex play. It was risky. I didn't think he was going to continue to do well, but he got 13.1. That's a great flex number. And Cam Newton, 21.2. So even with Ravens D getting 0 for you, you still scored 157. So that's good. Uh, I don't see you being consistent with this number, but if you could find a way every week to put up something like this, you could definitely be a contender. But as opposed to, like, say, T. Ham's always putting up these high numbers, I think I would put you and Scafani in the same boat. I think you guys are kind of the same team, average score-wise. Matt Velez, disappointing game for him, 98.3. Kirk Cousins, 6.9, terrible. Gurley had a regular game, 19.9. And O.J. Howard, 21.3. Rest of his team, pretty average, nothing great. So we'll see what he does. He claims to be really good, but his team's not really putting up those numbers. So I think I see him in a downward spiral. Mank versus Rich Paolino. Mank actually did really good this week, 132.5. Great week for him. He had Matt Ryan put up 28. Kamara, big numbers. Cooper Kupp coming back, big numbers for him. If you had a better flex play, and Devontae Parker at 1.8, he went from a high number when he played last week to this week with this, so he had high anticipation, but he didn't. So he didn't perform. So if you would have put a better flex play, you could have been really up there. So Mank's turnaround from as opposed to what he did like for the past 3 weeks. I think this looks good for him. I'd be very happy if I were him. He had a great week. Rich Paolino lost 3 in a row. Not a good game from his running backs, Mark Ingram, Peyton Barber, terrible games. Tight end Jared Cook, Rich, had a bad game. Josh Gordon had a big game. He's starting to come around the Patriots, so we'll see if that could turn his season around for him. And Thielen, not a great game, 12.7. He's usually in the 20s. He's a consistent performer, not this week. So Rich is 3-6. He's really got to win out to get in. So if Rich loses one more, we could say that he's done, I think. Let's go to the standings. Let's talk about that. T. Ham sitting up alone at the top. Joe Velez lost, so 7-2. Congrats, T. Hams. That's nice to see you up there. You got a lot of points too. 1251 for you. Joe Velez with 0.2 points less than you, but he's still 1 game back, and he's tied with Eric and Tom. I gotta be honest. I see Joe Velez turn it back. He's gonna turn up the heat again. He's gonna come back up. Eric's on the way up. I think he's gonna stay up there too. Tom's gonna fall. Tom's gonna come down to the lower bracket. I think one right below that. I think he's still gonna be in the playoff contention pool, but I don't think he's gonna be as strong as say T. Hams, Joe Velez, or Eric Velez. We do have at 5-4 we have Peluso and Chalupa. Peluso, I had a bad week, so he snuck out a win, but he's not the team that could win on a consistent basis unless he gets a good matchup. He's not the team that's scoring 140, 150, 160. He's scoring in the low hundreds. So, I mean, if he continues to get wins, I think he could get in the playoffs at a low seed. But I don't see that much future success from him because of the fact that he really has not shown consistently high numbers as some of the other people that are in the playoffs are. Shulpa Batmans, I think that he's a little too inconsistent right now. He can be, if he scores like he did this week, he certainly can be up there. He's just got to keep up that high ceiling that he has. If he falls down to the floor that he has, it's not going to be good for him because he could easily get beat at that point. So we'll see where he goes going forward. He's the one that I'm most excited to see where he goes because he could go really anywhere for him. Then at 4 and 5, we have the most people. We have Lou, Mavlas, me, and Mank. I think that Lou's on his way up. I think he's doing really well. What is he? He lost one. He just lost this game, but if you look at the trend of the season, he's on the uptrend. Matt Velez, I don't see doing anything. I think me and Matt Velez gonna have a similar season. I don't think it's gonna be anything. We're not going for the bye weeks, me and him. We're just trying to sneak in. I think we're gonna finish really neck and neck, me and him. Mank, I think he could do so. He could pull away. I don't really see it happening. I think he's just gonna miss it. But he really has a potential to just get in the playoffs. He's at that striking point. So we'll see where he goes from here. But I think he's at Joe Velez next week. So if Joe Velez is in a crap week, you could definitely get in. So Mank, we're rooting for you. We want to see you do something. You mean you kind of get like bad years every once in a while. So we want to see you finally take it into the playoffs like last year and capitalize and win. Rich Paolino, Mike Paolino, not really anything to go over. Bad years for both of them. It's just I think this year is I thought it was Paolino's year. You let me down. I thought 20 teams was going to be your year. You did nothing with it. and your dad, he's on the bottom too. We got two Velez's at the top, two Palinos at the bottom, Matt Velez in the middle. But we got Joe Velez and Eric Velez. Let's see if the Velez family, 1/3 of this league, could finally win this league. That'll be interesting to see. But that's enough of the league stuff, the statistical stuff. We did have that trade between Lou and Steve. Very disappointed in how it turned out. Steve came crying. You have to realize, Steve, that you have to be responsible for your own trades. That's not my responsibility or anybody else's responsibility. The fact that you thought that after Lou accepted it, that you could come back and try to get me to decline it. You don't get a second chance once it's accepted. It's not, once it's in the review process under me, it's not your second chance to say, maybe I shouldn't do this, I want it vetoed. That is the opportunity for the whole league to decide if it's good or not, and for me to let it go through. It's not your second chance to try to save yourself, maybe second thoughts. It's not that. That's not what it is. You could certainly vote the trade to veto, but that's 1 out of 12 votes. That's what you get. You don't get to text the commissioner and hope that it gets turned down. What I did, I took an objective point of view. The trade was accepted. It was never. Lou had no reason to believe that the trade was not still active, that you did not still want to do that deal. So he accepted, as anybody could have. Could have been anybody. And you have to understand that from his point of view, that's a legitimate trade. He was nice enough to give your players back, where he really shouldn't have, I don't think, because I would have kept them. Same thing with Eric when he did the trade with Mank. I would have kept those players because that's how business is done. In an adult league, it would have never flown. Rich Palino, Joe Velez, it would have been, no. That crap doesn't fly. So I'm glad we moved on from it. Trade deadline's over, but just knowing from the future, that can't happen. Secondly, we talked about meeting over Thanksgiving break to discuss the league, possible constitution, and the Dynasty League. I think that's a great idea. I think we really should all get together, maybe have a game of football at Farrell 23, then we can meet at somebody's house after, grab lunch, whatever. We do need to discuss the official rules of this league moving forward. I think this league should be best kept, all Staten Island. I think it's a competitive league, but I think we should just keep it to people we know because it's more fun that way. You know who you're playing, you have fun with them outside of the league too in the off season. The Dynasty League, however, I think that was a great idea. I think we can do 2 leagues. I think that league's a little bit more competitive. It's a little more hardcore, so we have people that have a little bit more understanding of the game in there, especially like if Mank wants to bring his friends in, that's fine because it's going to increase the level of competition. We're not trying to, it's not really as much as a friends league and the community league, it's more of the league, like it's a long-term league where you really need to have a grip on what you're doing to succeed in the league. And I think it's great that we have other people that are, friends of friends that are coming in this league to make it more competitive because it is a long-term thing. So that will be discussed in November too, over Thanksgiving break when we're all home. But yeah, so I definitely want to lay out the ground rules and organize everything because it's a little funky right now to discuss each league and their paths going forward. Because if it's organized properly, it could really be a great success. So we'll chat about that later in the month. What else? Today is election day. For all you guys that are home, please go out and vote. Vote red. Want to see the Republicans take more control. We like it. We like what the Don's doing. But at the federal level, state level, and local level, we want to see the red wave. We want Republicans all over the place. So please, if you're at home, polls goes at 9 today. Go vote. It takes 10 minutes. Vote on all the Republicans. Go home. You could take a break off the Ninja stream. Just go to your polling place. Go vote. If you're not registered, you're an idiot. I did an absentee ballot from here. I mailed it in. Dedication to the president does. Commissioner. He's got to be on top of everything. Real life and fantasy. I'm always on top of it. So yeah. Leading by example. And that's pretty much it this week. Did the recap, standings, current events with the new leagues and going forward what that's going to look like. And yeah, so I'll see you next week, everybody. Good luck. As we start getting close to the playoffs, everyone's got to try to grind it out and try to get in because it's getting tight. The playoff picture's starting to form, so this is grind time, playoff push time. So have a good one.